was looking at some of the research doc that I have in front of me, and there's one section that's I highlighted, which was each 3-hour increase in nighttime fasting was linked to 20% lower odds of elevated hemoglobin A1C, right? This long-term marker of blood glucose. And then one of your bullets was the effects of alcohol on the brain and cancer risk. And so I was reading this document over dinner. I sent this to you. And my time zones are all screwed up because I just got back from Polynesia. And so I'm eating at like 10 p.m., first of all. And then I had a glass of wine. So I put the glass of wine on top of my research document with all of this text visible. And I sent it to you. And I was like, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to always get it right. But let's talk about, do you want to talk about the booze for a second?
Alcohol, yeah. And especially since we were talking about ApoE4.
Just to depress people after the microplastics.
I know. It's like you can't have any enjoyment at all if you want to live a long, healthy life. No, you need to find a good balance, obviously. Alcohol it's a toxin.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of fun,
yeah,
right? I mean, it's fun to drink and have a glass of wine. Sometimes it helps it feels like you're lowering your stress, lowering some inhibitions. Mm-hmm. It's fun to do with a group of friends and stuff. It's not so great for the brain, though. And certainly if you're concerned about Alzheimer's disease and dementia risk. And I will say that there's been a lot of mixed research out there looking at alcohol consumption and dementia and Alzheimer's disease, where some of it says, well, if you're doing moderate alcohol consumption, you can actually have a protective effect against dementia and Alzheimer's disease, right? Where it's like, this idea that alcohol, like a glass of wine a day, is actually beneficial for you. So you should be drinking that.
I wonder if it's actually these social interactions facilitated by alcohol versus the moderate alcohol itself. I wonder.
Well, there's a lot of things going on here. Certainly social interactions, that's a confounding factor. Also, when people were then looked for their ApoE genotype, it was found that it was actually in the non-ApoE4 carriers that you would
right.
find that benefit, not in the ApoE4 carriers. And then on top of that, there's been all this research that, over the years has looked at moderate alcohol consumption. And depending on the study, that number changes, which is such a big bummer. It's like, well, what does that even mean? In some cases, it can be, 7 drinks a day.
7 drinks a day?
Sorry, a week. Oh my gosh. No, in some cases it's 7 drinks, obviously a week for a woman, but for a man, it's like 14 drinks a week.
Wonder who authored that study.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big difference. But on average, like moderate alcohol consumption is more like a 7 drinks a week. 7 drinks a day would definitely be heavy alcohol consumption. That would be more like substance abuse. Substance use or alcohol use disorder. Let's cut the substance abuse part out. Let's alcohol use.
Why can't you say abuse anymore? Why do these things have to keep changing? It's so ridiculous.
And it's hard for me because I'm always tripping on my words.
Use disorder sounds better than abuse?
Right.
I mean, what are the reasons behind this? Do you know?
I guess it's politically correct.
Because I'm funding all this psychedelic stuff, and it was like abuse for a long time, and then all of a sudden, nope, verboten. Can't say that. Who knows? Anyway.
It's funny. I've read so much of the literature that I still say abuse because that's what I'm familiar reading. But anyways, back to what I was saying, which is 7 weeks. Sorry. All right, we're going to cut this out, Tim. 7 drinks a week.
How many drinks have you had before this podcast, Rhonda?
Well, I did have some ketone ester, or there's a little bit of alcohol that is involved with that.
That's true. But watch out for the 1,3-butanediol. Anyway.
Right. There's something called the sick quitter hypothesis, which is essentially a lot of these studies were comparing people that are drinking this moderate alcohol consumption with non-consumers, people that abstain from drinking. And it turns out that many, 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 many studies did not account for this sick quitter
what is
aspect, which is essentially
quitter? Is that English?
Someone gets sick.
Oh, sick quitter.
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
Sick quitter.
Okay.
So essentially what it means is they get sick, and so they quit drinking alcohol. And then when they're filling out their questionnaire, however many years later, whatever, they are asked, how many drinks do you have a week? And they say 0 because they quit.
Yep.
But their question wasn't asked, were you a former drinker?
Disclose the prior drinking habit.
Yes. Very important. And now more studies are, when they're doing the questionnaires, are asking that question. But many, many, many years and many, many studies did not ask that question. And so it's very possible when you're looking at these cohorts of people that are comparing moderate alcohol consumption to no alcohol consumption, they're saying, oh, look, there's a benefit. You have less cardiovascular disease risk. You have less dementia risk if you drink versus not drink. We don't really know if that's because these people were former drinkers and did so much damage already that that's why they're getting dementia more.
In the non-drinker group.
In the supposed non-drinker group. Exactly.
Quote unquote non-drinker group. Yeah.
Right. Which could have been a former drinker. I think at the end of the day, when you look at alcohol and cancer, it's just unambiguous, right? Mm-hmm. Alcohol is now classified as, I think is it a group 1 carcinogen, where it's known to play a role in causing cancer. There's no gray area here. And there's many, many different cancers that it's associated with. So alcohol does get metabolized into acetaldehyde. That is something that can be a mutagen. It is a mutagen, can cause cancer, right? And so there's a lot of different cancers it's associated with, breast cancer, colon cancer, for example. Breast cancer is a big one because women's lifetime risk of breast cancer is already high. I mean, a woman has a lifetime risk of 1 in 8 of getting breast cancer. So if you have a room with 8 people, one of those women, if you're at a dinner party, and 8 women are there, then one of those women will come down and be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. Yeah. When you add alcohol consumption on top of that, if you're talking about moderate alcohol consumption, that risk can go to 1 in 6, which is very significant for lifetime risk, right? So I do think that alcohol, I mean, obviously, like, some people enjoy it, and, you know, I don't know that there's any amount that's actually safe, but if you're really looking for a number, it seems like 1 or 2 drinks a week seems to be the safe spot. I mean, the safest would be 0, right? 0 drinks. But like, if you're really not wanting to have the damage, the light drinking, which is like the 1 to 2 drinks a week, that's where you're probably the best off. Talking about a weekend, right? You have a weekend and you're doing like a glass of wine, maybe Friday or Saturday night, right? I think that's the safest if you're looking for like some alcohol consumption. If you're going above that, just be aware there is definitely a risk of increasing dementia, increasing cancer risk. However, there are other lifestyle factors that also play a role here, like being obese and exercise. In fact, some of the alcohol and dementia studies that have shown an increase in dementia incidence with alcohol consumption were negated by people that were highly physically active. So I do think there's other things to consider. You can't just silo everything, right? I mean, you got to look at the whole lifestyle.
So air squats before gelato and my tequila shots.
Right.